Hello again, everybody. So this is interview number 5 with myself, the West Coast Medium. I'm Amber. This is Heather, my friend and my interviewer.
Yes.
So today we're kind of going to cover a bunch of topics. These are all questions that were sent in again. Some of them are also from my family or friends that have kind of sent them in to fill a little bit of space. So I'll go over my gifts in case you haven't seen one of my other videos. So I'm a medium, which means I can connect with people who have crossed over. I'm an empath, but times a million. So spirit can make me see, feel, hear, and sense things that other people can't. I can also feel everything that everybody around me is feeling that's alive. I'm also what I call spiritually intuitive. Others would say is psychic, because there's no sense of time or space on the other side. Spirit can provide guidance for you or show me memories of the past if it's going to validate something for you. I'm also a medical intuitive, although I'm much more cautious with this just because I think it can scare people and is a bit more concrete, which I don't know. So I'm working on that, and I'm also a healer, although I reserve that for my family and friends just because it takes a lot more energy, and so yeah, it's not as feasible for me to do on a regular basis. So we'll try and keep it under an hour today, and I'll pass you to Heather.
All right. So are spirit guides someone that we knew in this physical life, or can they be someone that we did not know in this physical life?
So most of the time they are somebody you did not know in this physical life. It takes a long time. You have to live a lot of lives to become a spirit guide. It's kind of like the end goal once you're done. Okay. Let's just confuse everybody right off the start. They say, well, that's kind of true, but spirit guides on the other side are also still living physical lives. It's really hard to kind of understand, but normally it's not somebody you knew. Once in a while, I haven't seen it happen, but apparently it can happen, where if you knew maybe a child that really suffered and died of like a cancer, or somebody that was born severely physically or mentally disabled and died young, they will then become a guide for their loved ones, or already be a guide for their loved ones on the other side. But normally, no, it's not somebody you know. I think we talked about this. Sometimes it's even just people that specialize in what you're going through in your life, rather than, or what you've chosen to focus on in that life.
Okay. Do they relay messages to you for someone that is passed on, or speak for your deceased loved ones?
No, they don't. Your deceased loved ones speak for themselves. Your guides, they're kind of like counselors in a way. They'll talk about the deeper issues, your soul, where you need to go and what you need to do to be on the best path for your soul. Your loved ones usually will just come through to give encouragement, tell you that they love you, help you to deal with anything left over from their passing. But no, if your loved ones want to give a message to you through me, they just talk. If your spirit guides want to give a message through me, they talk. They don't talk for each other.
All right. So you've answered this next one a little bit, but do you want to expand on the purpose of your spirit guides participating in a reading?
So I know a lot of people come to me and they really just want to talk to their loved ones on the other side, which is understandable if they've kind of had a huge loss or something that affected them really deeply. But I just find so much value in talking to your spirit guides, even if it's only for 10 minutes, because the guidance and information they give you, I think, helps you more than anything to move forward in a positive way, to understand where you're at in your life, to kind of work on accepting yourself and forgiving yourself for any wrongdoings you think you might have created. I just find that it's so valuable and brings a lot of peace to people. So I always, regardless of if you have, they say, a boatload of dead people on the other side, I just find it so valuable to talk to your guides too, because they know you even better than your loved ones on the other side, which is hard to understand, but they know your soul, the core of who you are. And so I find a lot of value in talking to them.
All right. So a lot of people are wondering, because this is a theme that comes up pretty often in the questions, can you tell if a person has spiritual gifts?
Yeah, so I think we have kind of touched on this, so maybe they just want me to expand a little more. I can tell if you're a higher energy, and with a higher energy can come some gifts. But if, like, say you already are practicing some type of energy work, Reiki, or you're somebody that is like me, they're going to tell me normally before you even come in the door. So I'm very aware by the time you come what I'm dealing with, because I have to prepare in different ways for different types of energy. They will also tell me if you're gifted and don't know about it. and tell me whether or not you're supposed to know. So sometimes I'm not allowed to say anything because you aren't going to choose to accept that in this life. I do a lot of work with empaths because it's not that uncommon to be an empath. A lot of people are very deeply affected by other people's emotions. So a lot of empaths come to me and have no idea why they've been miserable. So I do a lot of work around that and talking about that. But yeah, Spirit will tell me. It's not me that knows, obviously. Spirit will tell me if somebody is gifted.
Okay. So how can a person strengthen these gifts?
First, they have to accept them. And that can take a lot of work, even if you know that there's some. I knew for 34 years that I was gifted, or that there was, I don't know about gifted because I didn't really see it as a gift then, but that there was something different about me, and I had zero interest in expanding on that or doing anything about it. So you have to be at a place where you want to accept it, and then you just have to work on your energy, raising your energy. They say it's like flexing a muscle, at least that's what my guides tell me now. I used to get really tired. I only did 3 readings a week and I would be exhausted. Now I do 6 to 8 and I'm doing pretty good. I can even throw a group in there once in a while. I have to know my limits because I can kind of get overly exhausted. Heather's a good compass of that. She's like, you're doing too much, you need to slow down. But yeah, I think anything to raise your energy, but just acknowledging it to start. And then acceptance if really it isn't something you're supposed to develop in this life.
Okay, how can a person raise their vibration, and is everyone meant to raise their vibration?
So I think everyone can raise their their vibration to a certain level. Sometimes you reach your cap of what you're supposed to learn in this life, and if you were to go past that, you'd start affecting the other lives that you're living, and maybe not in a good way, right? Because if you're getting more enlightened in this life, one of your other lives is going to have to compensate by going down in energy. So your higher self will help to decide where that balance is. But everyone in some way can raise their vibration by being more accepting of themselves, forgiving of themselves, not carrying regret or guilt, making peace within themselves. A lot of the time I think people like to think, oh, if I didn't have this chaos in my life or these people that were bringing me down and bogging me down, my energy would be so much better. But that's not true at all. You're attracting those people because of where your energy's at. This is a weird tangent to go on. I don't think this has a lot to do.
I like it.
All right. But you're attracting those people because of where your energy's at that time. So if you work on yourself, raise your vibration, you're no longer going to fulfill anything in those people because you're stronger in and of yourself. So it's usually not outside circumstances at all that will raise your vibration. It's within you and how you think about yourself, how you feel about yourself, and where you feel you fit in the world. It's a really roundabout way to answer that question. They like it though. So somebody must have needed that answer.
How can a person replenish their energy?
I think by doing anything that fulfills you or taking a break. Sorry. They want to kind of differentiate there because I think some people will take that as, oh, if you're tired, then just sit around on the couch. Taking a break can mean going for a walk, connecting with nature, something like that. It's not always going have a nap. Sometimes that actually will give people less energy because they're feeling really drained after. I think a general rule of thumb for everybody across the board is spend some time outside. I think in this day and age we spend a lot less time outside than we did even 5 years ago. Our lives really do exist unless you have a profession that takes you outside. Our lives exist kind of within the 4 walls of our house and work and all of these other places that we go. Spending time outside is a huge one. And being honest with yourself. A lot of people want to do everything, right? They plan their days and they plan way too much in, and if they don't get it done, they feel like they failed. But you're doing way too much. You're only one person. But we're in a society now where you're praised for overachieving, for accomplishing tons and tons of stuff. Rarely are people praised for remaining centered and focusing on themselves and slowing down a little bit. It's a kind of reward-punishment system for going at Mach 10 your whole life. So I think just kind of realizing that that's not necessarily what works for everybody will help to kind of replenish your energy a bit.
All right, and is this way different from how you would replenish your energy?
To a point, it is a little bit different. I have Spirit's help. So if I'm getting too tired or I'm having a reading drag on too long, they'll just stop talking. Because it does take, like, I my energy is a much higher, like if this is an average person, my energy's here, and spirits is off the chart. So for me to talk to them, I have to kind of come up to their level, which is quite exhausting. So if my energy is kind of getting lowering or anything like that, spirit will just stop talking and say, like, that's it, you're done. Regardless of if these people need more, you're done today, and they'll just stop talking. I need a ton of quiet alone time to replenish myself. I get very irritated if I don't have very much alone time. I think my family can attest to that, especially Mike. Maybe this week is a good testament of that, because I haven't had a lot of alone time. But for me, calm and quiet and alone time is what gives me my energy. Also horseback riding, even though that's kind of also fallen by the wayside a little bit. But it is a little bit different, because my energy and other people's energy is very, very different. So I need probably 10 times more than just the average person, time focused on myself to feel energetic all the time.
All right. How can empaths protect themselves from other people's energy?
So I think I just realized I did that weird eye thing that I always do with the one eye blink. I don't know why. It's very strange. It's part of what I do, I guess. I think for empaths, it's very important to set an intention before you leave your house, an intention before you walk back into your house. Before you leave, you say, I'm leaving my house with only my energy, my thoughts and feelings, and I'm going to come home the same way. And do that before you come in back in your door. I am leaving everybody's thoughts and feelings other than my own here at my door. I'm walking into my house with only my energy. If you need to, carry some selenite with you to hold while you do that, because that'll help you filter the energy. Or there's a different word. What is that word? Not filter. I don't know. Get the energy away from you. So I think doing that, setting that intention, wear selenite, because it will help. This is selenite. It will help protect you from other people's energy. And just be aware that that's the way you are, and that you are more affected by other people's energy, mood, thoughts, feelings. So check in with yourself often. If you're feeling irritated and nothing's really happened in your day to irritate you, go, okay, are these my feelings or are they somebody else's? And if it doesn't belong to you, let it go. And consciously say to yourself, like, this doesn't belong to me, I'm letting it go. Because empaths really do tend to take on a lot of people's stuff, and it affects them more, right? Like, if somebody's grumpy around them, a lot of the time they'll assume that they're mad at them, when really that person's just not having a good day. So it's kind of sometimes hard to differentiate or know what belongs to who. So just lots of protection and acknowledging that that's the way you are. I think there's a lot of negative information out there about empaths. They say we're too sensitive, we're too affected, we're this, that, or we can't live a functional life when we're so affected by other people's emotions. I'm living a very functional life. Heather's also a bit of an empath. She's living a very functional life, you know?
Thank
you most of the time, right? Both of us. I don't know if it's all the time for either of us, most of the time. But I think, you know, that's not true. You could say that about almost anything in life, that it's going to affect people in a really negative way. But for empaths, that's not true. Once they kind of learn to live with it, embrace it, deal with it, and protect themselves, it's a gift, I think.
What is the main thing people can do to stay healthy and avoid things like cancer? So this is separate from things like diet, exercise, which are kind of the more obvious ways. But what about eating organically or avoiding technology?
I think eating organically to a point helps, as long as it's the right kind of organic. A lot of organic farms are surrounded in regular farms, so they get just as many chemicals, if not more. So eating local, because then you know kind of where it's coming from. I don't know about the technology. It's everywhere, right? So you could avoid your cell phone, but everywhere you go, you're around Wi-Fi, and isn't that the same thing? I don't think that's just where our society's at. I think avoiding that is a bit... I was going to say fanatic, and they don't like that word, but extreme they like. What's wrong with fanatic? They don't like it. They think it makes you sound crazy. Extreme. And you don't need to go to that extreme. But honestly, kind of the biggest thing is avoiding anger towards other people or yourself. Anger is a very heavy and difficult emotion to carry within your physical body, and your physical body will protect itself by fighting that, or developing things that will kind of wrap themselves around that, like a cancer. But anger, guilt, regret, and stress, kind of the top 4 feelings that you should try and deal with if you are experiencing them. Because you might not get cancer, but definitely your physical body is going to suffer. So you might get a lot of other things, chronic pain, digestive problems, chronic headaches, or neck and shoulder pain. You know, it doesn't always jump right to the extreme cancer. I think one thing that they want me to mention, though, is some people, regardless of how they've chosen to live their lives, they could be vegan, organic eaters that live with no electricity and no electronics and still get cancer, because that is what they chose to go through in this life. And if that is what they chose, literally there is nothing you can do to prevent that, because that's the lesson that your higher self chose that your soul needed to learn in this life. So there's kind of two sides to that kind of coin.
So when we lose a loved one in this lifetime and we cross over to the other side, do we remember the feeling of missing them and wanting to see them again?
No, because on the other side, they don't miss us, for one, because our higher self is there. And as soon as we get there, literally the second you cross over, you're conscious of everything again. You're conscious, and even sometimes before. That's why sometimes people are in that transitional phase where they're kind of in and out and clearly are seeing the other side and will smile or reach out. It's because they recognize home and they want to go there. So you're not left with any of those types of things. You kind of just get there and go, oh wow, so that's what I planned, and that's why all of that was meant to happen. And then you do your life review so you can really accept and embrace everything that happened in your life. But no, you don't remember. You can look back and see it as a human emotion, but you understand that there's a reason for it. So it's not a big gaping hole of grief. It's like a lesson that there is a reason for.
All right, so just confirming, they don't miss us while they're on the other side.
Not at all, because they're with us. You know, that's the whole no time and space thing. They are 100% with us all of the time, because they're with our higher self, and they can participate in our everyday life here still as in this physical world. So no, they don't miss us like we miss them.
So when we get to the other side, do we see them as they appeared here on Earth, or do they look different?
I think a little bit of both. It depends on how enlightened you are. If you are, well, you know, a little skeptical of the other side, they're going to appear to you exactly how you remember them, and then they'll change to whatever form. Some do choose, like usually they say that usually they have like a favorite life. So maybe in their favorite life they were 20 years old and whatever, and that's how they will look after. You're like, okay, hey, that's you. But I think the looking exactly like themselves more happens when you're in the transition phase of crossing over, so that you're not scared. Once you all get to the other side, you can look however you want to look. And maybe they do still choose to look like that. A lot of the time they choose to look a little bit different.
All right. Do babies remember the other side more than adults do? Is it something that fades from memory as we grow up?
Yes, they definitely are more connected to the other side. Babies now with me, even if I don't know them, will just stare at me, or they'll walk up to me and reach up just to be picked up. They have no idea who I am because they recognize my soul. But it does fade. I think until about the age of 3, you're still quite conscious of it. But as soon as you start being very verbal and being able to talk about things, it kind of fades away. Or no baby would really want to stay here, right? Because the other side is much more happy and comfortable for them. They don't have these physical human needs that drive them crazy, like hunger and thirst and dirty diapers. So once they're kind of the age where they're more really conscious of what's going on around them in the physical world, they start to forget the other side.
Why do we exist, and how are we created? In brackets, our spirit, soul, and not just our human selves.
That's a big question. So we exist to learn. We exist. That's really like, they say we exist because it's who we're meant to be. On the other side, we exist honestly to learn and keep moving forward. The Bible was right about eternity, you know, and I don't think we can understand eternity, because for us, like 80 years is great to live. There, you know, souls are thousands upon thousands of years old, and still evolving, still learning, and still moving forward. So we really do exist just to learn. I don't think, even me who's very gifted, I don't think I'm even meant to 100% understand that, because if I completely understand that, what's the point of me being here, right? So even with me, they're a little bit cryptic, and they say they're not cryptic. I just am not supposed to know everything. Like, I don't have to know everything. But you know, I think there's just some things that we kind of need to leave to the other side, and our purpose, the entire purpose, the grand purpose, other than to learn, is for them to know and us to know on the other side. But you know, there's even a cap to my knowledge. But I know, and they will say, it's just honestly to keep learning and evolving and moving forward.
All right. So how come we are allowed to know the information Spirit will teach us, such as the general stuff in your videos and the personal stuff in your readings? If we aren't meant to remember our life plan and home, why can we know some of the things?
I think because everybody can stand to be a little bit more enlightened to make their life a little bit easier. I think there's definitely even caps to what I'm allowed to say in readings, or even the videos. Hey, that last question was an example. That's funny. There's certain things, no, we aren't meant to know. But a lot of things, I think, anything that's going to help your soul get to the best path. So if you've planned out, say, 5 different levels of what you could learn in this life, anything that will help yourself get to the best learning level, they will give you. Beyond that, they won't. That's your cap. The best that you are supposed to learn. Really, is that true? I don't think people will like that. They're going to give an example, and this is not a across the board example, but there's certain instances where people want more than that, and they kind of force themselves into a higher level energy that they are not supposed to be in. And at times, not always, but at times, that will present itself as something like a late onset schizophrenia, because you're putting yourself into a much higher energy than your soul or your physical body can handle in that life. And it's kind of like, it's like if you run a marathon when you've never even ran around the block. It's not going to go well for you. You're going to injure yourself. It's going to hurt, and you're going to end up crashing and burning. So sometimes you can kind of force yourself into that place. And that's why a lot of the times with those later onset schizophrenias, is this true? Okay. Medication sometimes might be more effective than it is for somebody that was kind of grew up this way, because that medication lowers their energy back to where it should be. And as long as it keeps them there, then they may not have another psychotic break or another episode. This is really new information to me. I'll have to kind of look into this a little later with them, I think. But there's definitely consequences. And I would never want to put somebody in that position by giving them more than what they can handle. So I'm very cautious, and Spirit's very cautious about how much I say.
How can a person force themselves into a higher energy?
Oh.
I just busted that one out. That was not on the list.
I think by trying to connect too much, it is definitely possible. They have explained it to me. You know that old, I think it's a Greek tale of Icarus? Mm-hmm. And he flies too close to the sun, and his wax wings melt, and he falls to his death. It's pushing yourself to this higher level of energy that you're not meant to get to. So anything that puts you in that zone, whether it's learning too much about the other side, putting way too much on your buffet plate as a human rather than on the other side, feeling like you should be doing more, any of those things that will put you from your comfort zone into a more kind of manic state. As soon as you start feeling that, you gotta tone her down. I think a lot of things can do it, but being too close to the other side is kind of number one, taking you out of the energy you're supposed to be in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Why do people like you exist on Earth and not just the other side?
I'm going to use your answer, even though they're going to give a different one after. Heather said something along the lines of, so all us normal people can be a little more like enlightened.
Yeah, well, I said, because some us normies us normies need to be throwing a bone from time to time. Like, help me out.
I think true a little bit. But also I think, sorry, hang on. Just like, say like in the Bible times, the prophets that existed, I think it's just to give the human race a little bit of hope and peace, even if it's just in a small amount. You know, like millions of people have not watched these videos, but definitely thousands have. And that's a huge impact, especially when I can't see a ton of people on a private basis. But I think, you know, we really help to bring hope, faith, and a little bit of peace to a world that right now to a lot of people can seem a little bit scary. And it's also part of my soul's journey to live a very enlightened life like this, so that I can learn this part, so that potentially then I don't have to continue to come back. So it's kind of both. It's part of my soul's journey, but it's also to provide hope to, that sounds really weird, like on some kind of, I don't know, inspirational quote, but they say kind of to provide hope to the people. I feel like I should give a speech with that.
Bumper stickers to follow.
Yes. But yeah, so there's quite a few reasons for somebody like me. Even I, though, definitely am cautious, because I could very easily, probably more so than other people, be pushed into too high of an energy, where I would get manic. It's never happened, but I don't doubt it could, and something like that could happen. So I'm cautious, and that's where all my grounding techniques and stuff like that. And that's also why I don't do readings by myself. Like, I don't sit and connect. Other than to my guides, I won't sit and connect to loved ones unless somebody else is there, because I need somebody else to kind of hold me here and keep me grounded.
Do you believe in karma?
So I kind of talked about this, because to me the concept of like the secret that we talked about in the last video and stuff is kind of that. But where karma rubs me the wrong way, the word specifically, not the act, is people use it negatively and as revenge. You know, like if somebody hurts you, you go, it's okay, karma will get them. But that's not true. If that person is thinking, you know what, I'm going to live a great life, and I'm going to step on all these people to do it, and I'm going to keep living a great life, and I'm going to be rich, and all these wonderful things are going to happen, and I don't care who I hurt, that is the life they're going to live. They're going to continue to get richer, they're going to continue to be happy with themselves, and be completely oblivious to the people they're hurting. That's the part I have a problem with. What goes around comes around kind of thing, whether it's positive or negative. Personally, yes, but not generally. So what you put out into the world, you will get back. If you are putting out something to somebody else, they're not going to get that, because they're choosing their own stuff. So that part I have difficulty with. But I do believe each person, yes, definitely, if you're putting out there negative stuff, you're going to continue to get back negative stuff. If you're putting out there positive, you're going to continue to get that back. But to point at another physical person and say they're going to get theirs because they are a horrible person, not necessarily.
All right. So Amber's favorite part of every video is when we talk about her.
Well, this is my favorite. Insert sarcasm right here.
All right. Can you talk about the prayer you say after your deep breathing before each reading?
So I know it by heart now. I'll show you. I keep it right here. It's on a piece of paper, because I also get everybody that comes to see me read it over, just because I think it gets people in a good mindset. So it's just a general asking everybody who's going to come forward in a positive way, to protect this space and to keep everything really positive and the highest energy it can be, and that I communicate accurately and concisely with whoever's coming to talk. So I say that, and then I go into a personal prayer and meditation, where then Spirit has me ask for the specifics of what the person who's coming needs. So then it gets very personal. But I always say that prayer first, and everybody who comes to see me has seen it, because they all say it too. Not out loud. I don't make them like say a prayer to me, but they just read it in there. A couple people have read it out loud, and it was a little awkward. But usually they just say it to themselves.
If you do a reading with a friend, is that disruptive in any way?
It can be more difficult, not because it's difficult to do a reading for a friend, because I doubt myself more, and I go, you know, is this really coming from Spirit, or did they tell me this? You know, like, did I hear this at some point? It's also harder for me to give Spirit guide advice to friends, because, you know, I only know about them what they want me to know, and then when I sit down in a reading setting, I then know everything. I always reassure friends and family that literally I forget it all afterwards. So even if they come to ask me questions after about a certain point in it, I would have to reconnect to get the answer to that because I forget all of it. But that part's harder for me than connecting with friends, loved ones. That's easy for me. But giving them, guidance to do with their soul is a bit more difficult for me because it's kind of laying it out on the table. And in friendship and in my own personal relationships with people, there's some things you don't want people to know. And so sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable to know all of it.
All right. Do you prefer doing readings for people you know or people you don't know?
People I don't know, for sure. It's much easier. I like it. I like even the first reading with somebody I don't know more than like the second and third when they come back, just because I like to know nothing. It's the easiest for me when I know nothing because then I don't question myself at all. I don't go, oh, have I already said that? So that's definitely the easiest for me.
All right. Does it make it harder for you to connect with one person's loved ones if someone else is there too? So like say partner readings, or if a group of 3 wants to come, is it harder to do?
So if it's a group that come, like 2 people that come for a reading, I can connect, no problem. The one thing I have a problem with is if somebody's coming for a reading and they say, oh, I want to come for a reading, but I'm a little uncomfortable. Can I bring my mom or my sister or my friend just to watch? I can't do that. If you're here, you're getting a reading. I don't get to decide. Spirit, if you're here, they don't care. If you're not participating in the reading, they're going to say what they need to say. So as long as all the people that are here for a reading, totally fine. But I can't go, okay, this person sitting here is getting a reading, but the one sitting behind them on the chair, they're not getting a reading. I can't do that.
Okay. Is it easier or harder to do readings for more than one person at a time?
For 2 people, well, no, it's easier to do it for one, just because, each extra person, you're multiplying the amount of dead people and the amount of guides by a lot each time, so it can get a little bit confusing. I think there's more questions about that, so I won't answer that part. But Spirit really helps me to have it make sense and have it still move quickly, because even if there's 6 of you, I still can only work for an hour to an hour and a half. So I have to get a lot done in a really short amount of time, so they will make sure that I'm answering stuff quickly, concisely, and without confusion. Those are my favorite words in my meditation.
Can you tell which spirit belongs to which person sitting with you?
Normally. So what I'm experiencing now is bigger groups as I'm doing them. So last week I did a group of 7 and a group of 8 or something like that. And literally, guides I usually can tell. I can tell what advice or what guidance is meant for what person just because it just makes sense to me. I look at the person, I know exactly what they need. But the dead people sometimes will just stand there in a big group and they will yell things out. Put up their hand, car accident, heart attack, mom, auntie, grandma. And they'll just start yelling and I have to go, okay, let's calm down. Who belongs to who and who should I talk to first? So then I'll slowly start pulling them out. And I kind of do like you would with kids in a classroom. If you sit quietly with your hand up, I'm more likely to pick you. Not always. Once in a while, I'll know somebody has a really important message. So if they're yelling something out, I know there's a reason for it. But yeah, so sometimes it can get a bit confusing.
I'm just picturing that in my head.
I know. A big group of them. And literally, they're just jumping up and down. And sometimes there'll be a little kid that belongs to somebody who's pick me, pick me, pick me. Yeah, so it can be a little confusing.
What does it look like when doing a reading for one person compared to doing a group reading?
Well, say we're sitting right now at a table and there's 6 chairs. So if there's one person here, they sit where Heather's sitting. Their guides stand right there. Their dead people stand right beside me. Very easy. I can pick it all up. When there's 6 people, they're standing everywhere because there's not enough room anywhere for any of them, although they don't really need room, but and sometimes they'll piggyback, so similar people will come through together, and then I have to differentiate who is who. So it just looks a lot more chaotic at first. Once I get settled and grounded and I've got a feel for everybody at the table, I can separate it a little more. But at first it is a little bit chaotic, and I wish sometimes people could see what I see, so they could see I'm not a crazy person trying to look around and go, okay, you stand there and that's all, just calm down. That's actually what's going on.
So the group readings are a little more confusing?
A little more confusing, yeah. I don't know if confusing is the right word. I think chaotic or just busy, because my guides really help me to not feel confused, because I kind of get panicky if I'm confused, because I'm like, oh gosh, is this going to go really bad? And then, oh my gosh, it's 6 people here and then they're going to say horrible things about me and bah. So they try and not confuse me, but it can get really busy.
Do they take more energy, group readings?
Definitely, yeah. Sometimes I even have a hard time going for, because I try and do a bigger group an hour and a half. Sometimes at an hour and 10, hour and 15, I can just feel them all going away, because they realize, even though the energy from that many people keeps me really euphoric, I'm going to crash and burn after, and sometimes it can take a couple days to recover. So definitely it takes a lot more energy.
All right. Is it difficult to do readings for people who are skeptical and self-proclaimed skeptics? People who come and say, I don't know about this.
Yeah. I wonder why they come.
I know.
And the
I
first
wonder.
thing
I
they do when they come to the door is
too.
like, I don't believe
I don't
in this.
believe you.
But actually, no, it's not difficult
Excuse
at all,
me.
because before they come, Spirit tells me they're skeptical. So usually the first 5 minutes, I connect with their guides, and their guides say things I would never in a million years as a person know about them, so that they can get them over their skepticism really, really fast. Because if they remain skeptic through the entire hour, and I take a long time to get to something that they're like, how could she have known that? They're not going to hear anything I said, and they're going to leave not remembering anything. So their guides and my guides like to get it out of the way right at the beginning, deal with their skepticism the very first thing. And usually when they walk in and they sit down, the first thing I say is, I can tell you're a skeptic, so let's see where this goes. And I'm not here to prove anything to you, just to kind of take the weight off a little bit. But their guides and my guides help to get them to understand what I do, so that they can absorb it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. Does it affect you when people think you're crazy or judge you?
When people I don't know think that, it doesn't affect me at all. I've had some people close to me that think that about me, and even though I don't necessarily talk to them anymore, that affects me more. I don't want people that are supposed to love me and care for me more than other people to think that about me. But a lot of the time when people think that, they've not given me a chance to show them anything else. So then that's part of their journey and what they're supposed to learn in this life. And I'm not here to force this on anyone. That's one of my main problems with like religion, is that they try and shove it down your throats. That's not me. I'm not here to prove anything or force anything on anyone. I'm just here to do me. And if you're on board with that, fine. If you're not, fine. So no, people I don't know, it doesn't affect me. But definitely, I think it would affect anyone. Mm-hmm. If it's people that are supposed to be close to them, that because of who I am now, think I'm different or less than or crazy. I'm not a fan. That wouldn't have been true. I used to be so sensitive about people thinking I was crazy or had problems, because I was a really grumpy person before. So that's definitely changed. But it does. It affects anybody when people think they're crazy, if they're supposed to be people that love you.
Mm-hmm. All right. It's off of Amber now.
Yay! I was actually just going to say with the last question, are we almost done talking about me?
Yeah. All right. Can you talk more about free will? How can it exist when we've planned out our entire lives on the other side?
So I went into this, I think in the first video a little bit, and it left a couple of people kind of confused. I got some comments after that were like, how can free will exist? And you're pretty much saying like, we don't have any choices in this life. And that's not at all true. So free will 100% exists. We choose where we go, the lessons we learn as a human. On the other side, we've planned out themes, but we've planned out tons of levels. So I think I used before, like, say you have one decision. Should I take this job, right? And you know when we were in school and we did brainstorming bubbles with the things off of them? So you put that, here's your choice. Should I make this? And off of that brainstorming bubble, there's, yes, I should take the job. No, I shouldn't take the job. Maybe I should get a different job, right? You've got 3 options. You choose one of those options. Off of that option, so yes, you took the job. Off of that option, maybe there's 4 ways you could go with that. You're going to do really good at the job and love it. You're going to hate the job. You're going to have some personal conflicts at the job. Maybe the job's going to burn you out. Those are your 4 options. And then you choose one of those. Off of that, there's 4 more. You choose one of those. And it goes infinitely. But on the other side, because it's eternal and infinite, we've planned all that. We've thought of every eventuality. It's like when you're making a plan in your life. Say you're planning to go camping. And you go, okay, so we have to pack for this in case it rains, this in case it's sunny, what if we want to swim, we want to do this, we want to do that. So you plan for every outcome that could possibly happen while you're camping. Well, at least if you're me, I think I will do that because I will want to be over-prepared. That's what you do on the other side. You plan for every option that could potentially happen in this life so that your physical self is okay going through all of it, and your higher self on the other side can help them. So you can choose infinite ways to go, but on the other side, infinite is not that far-fetched like it is here. Does that kind of make a little more sense? If you still have questions, definitely comment below.
Do dogs and other pets ever think something is funny or silly?
Definitely. Dogs and pets have personalities similar to ours. They can think things are funny, sad, upsetting, all kinds of emotions. You can tell when dogs think things are funny. Some dogs even smile when they're really happy. So definitely they have emotions just like us.
I'm just thinking about Walter.
Oh,
And all
Heather does not think Walter has emotions because he's a boxer, so his face is always droopy. But if you know Walter, his emotions show in his ears and his eyes and his little wiggly butt.
Amber always says, look at Walter, he's blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he looks like a boxer. He looks the exact
All
same
all the
as
time.
the last time I saw him. He's Walter.
But I can also just, like, I can see people's souls, I can see animal souls, and so I know if he's happy, if he's upset, if he's tired or sad. I know when he's missing my husband, when my husband's been gone for a long time. So I have a different level of that, but definitely they all have emotions. Unless you're Heather and then you think none of them do.
A boxer's a boxer. Can you talk more about the dimensions that exists? Are there many different ones, and can we go to them?
Your higher self can plan lives in them. I don't know all of them at all times because some are more evolved than here. So I said this in the last one, there's past dimensions, which to me are still dimensions, future dimensions. But there's also other places, different, what is that word? Galaxies. Is that the right word for like past, we're a galaxy, right? And then there's other ones of those. I don't know. They just show me like, you go through like a little hole and there's a whole nother one that has different things like this. And then you go through another one and you have, there's also kind of less evolved places to be. And they make me feel like one is actually kind of here on Earth. I'm going to answer a question that wasn't asked, but something like, Bigfoot or Sasquatches or whatever. A couple of people have asked me about that. They actually exist on a different dimension, but can sometimes show up here because they are a lower energy soul. And they make me feel like that dimension is within Earth, just not exactly where we are. And that's why every once in a while they can be seen, or there's traces of them, because they're part of this lower energy civilization that doesn't actually exist here. I don't know if that makes sense. Kind of confusing. I could do a whole video on all the kind of things like that.
Okay. I'm not going to end with this question. I'm going to start with it because once I read it, you'll get it. It's kind of a doomy question, a doom and gloomy question to end with. So I'm just going to start with it in our last 3 questions. Okay. Do you know when the world is going to end?
Tomorrow. No, just kidding. I kind of wish that could be the answer because that would be amazing.
And stop it.
Yeah. No. They're laughing, so we need to just calm right down. Let's get back to it. It's not going to end necessarily, because even if this physical Earth were to blow up tomorrow, the concept of no time or space, and that we can just go to a different dimension, it's not going to end. You can go back to 1900 and say, oh, well, we screwed that one up. Let's change a few things so that doesn't happen again. But the world is not going to end per se, because there's so many other places to go, or to just go back to. They hate it when I say back, because to them it's not back, but that's how it makes sense to us as humans. Go to the 1800s and tweak a few things that we did.
All right, where is the lost city of Atlantis?
So my answer to this has actually changed. My sister asked me this a while ago, and I drew like where I thought it was, which looked like kind of the Red Sea. But then Spirit tells me, yes, it's kind of there, but it's in a different dimension. So I don't think anybody's ever going to find it, because we can't see it with our human eyes, which is freaky and really, really weird.
It is, yeah.
But it is in a different dimension. It doesn't exist in this dimension, on this physical plane. So even if it exists on this physical Earth, but in a different dimension, maybe think of it like a hologram. Like it exists to the people that can see it. Maybe I could see it if I got there because of my higher energy, but it doesn't exist for just everybody walking around to see.
I'd be happy to accompany you there.
Yeah, so we could go see, we'll get some scuba gear.
Yeah.
Although I don't think scuba gear, we need a submarine.
Yeah. All right, our final question, guys. Who built the pyramids?
I think this one's going to blow your minds a little. The pyramids weren't built. They just appeared. They were just manifested by a higher consciousness that exists, much more evolved, higher consciousness. So no, I think any regular human, if they really were to look at it, you would understand there's no way in that time period that humans had the ability to build them. It just physically, I don't know, I'd like to talk to like an engineer or something. Is that who would kind of plan something like that?
Maybe,
And
yeah.
say, is this possible
Yeah.
with literally no tools and just tiny humans? It's not. They just appeared. I can tell. What a great way to end a video, because everybody's going to be like, they went through the whole video and now they're sitting there going, huh?
Maybe we should have ended with this other question.
I think you should have. You messed it all up.
Because I think that's crazy.
I think a lot of people will. But if you just kind of let your mind kind of expand and go to a different way of thinking, it's not all that impossible. Like, we're doing things with like 3D printing and stuff now, right? That things are just being created that were not there before. The pyramids are not different. They just, there was a reason for them. Okay. I've never seen them, but they must be in a certain formation. And it was for, that's not the right word, like channeling energy, or like a energy focal point for kind of energy coming and going. So there was a reason for them. They had certain qualities or energy or power about them, which doesn't necessarily exist anymore. It kind of went when that higher consciousness went, but they make me feel like it's not gone forever. So they do have special energetic quality about them. That's somewhere I'm going to have to go then, hey? So I could probably get like a real feeling if I was
I will
around
also accompany you.
Yes, we'll go to Egypt.
well.
That's where they are, right?
All right, that's it, guys.
All right, so that's the end of our video number 5. If you're enjoying these videos, keep sending in questions. Heather's going to help me find out, or her husband, a way to kind of streamline them, because right now people are commenting on these videos, they're commenting on my page, they're sending me private messages, they're sending me emails, and then I have to go and try and find them all and put them all into one place. So hopefully in the next few days we'll make an announcement of where you can, but for now, for sure, just comment on this video. If there were things you liked or didn't like, let me know. I love feedback, whether it's good or constructive or however you want to give me that feedback. I'm open to it. They say she didn't even mind being called a charlatan that much. I don't know, it didn't bother me. But definitely like this video, subscribe it, share it. I know this one isn't a contest, but the more you kind of get it out there, the more Spirit wants to keep making them. So thank you all for your support, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.